look at the receipt for my late grandmother. At that time, I didn't understand what it was saying, but I just know it was numbers. So I was always fascinated with numbers from a young age. And as I progressed in school, I realized I really had a passion for numbers. And so in high school, I did the business. I pretty much studied business where I did accounting. And from there, I was on my way to the accounting career. So I did AAT, which is Association of Accounting Technician. Then I moved on to ACCA, which is the Association of Certified Chartered Accountant. And then I moved on to do my master's. And two, um, I was just wanted to be in the financial arena, moving up in that position as, financial professional. I actually didn't even plan to start a business, but um, that came along and I decided to start this accounting company. And I started it out of my passion for numbers. I really love to deal with numbers. I really like to help person understand what the numbers are saying. And I realize there are a lot of businesses that they do not understand what the numbers mean. Yes, they are doing business. Yes, they are, making money, but what it says, what is it saying? If you look on a profit and loss statement, what does that say about your business? If you look on your balance sheet, what is that saying about your business? So I understand that a lot of companies do not understand what the numbers are saying. So that give me that even more desire and purpose to pursue my dream. And so I started this company and it has been really going good. I've been helping so many companies to understand what is happening with their numbers and to lead them on a path for success.
Excellent, excellent. And we're going to be coming back to the numbers, but there are so many other things happening with you, Mrs. Henderson, because you're very involved in charity work. Talk to us a little bit about the charity work that you're doing back home in Jamaica.
Okay, this charity project really was a baby for my husband. It's his drive and his passion. And he has a passion for helping children, helping kids develop, helping kids with education. And so we decided to start this charity. We started it some years ago, just having treats for children, giving them care packages and all of that. But in 2019, we went to Jamaica and we did a charity program in St. Mary where he was born. And we had a charity program to treat children in December. And just doing it out of our love for children and our passion and all of that. And it was featured in the Jamaica Gleaner. And it was really a big thing for us. And that even pushed us further. We said we want to take it to the next step to register this company. So we are in the process of registering this nonprofit, and it's being built on two pillars. It's education and development. And we actually grew up in, a poor family background, so we understand the importance of education. We understand how it feels when you have this great potential, but you lack resources. And so this gives us this push, this purpose to help these kids in these rural areas. So that's how we started this mission, and we are in the process of getting registered in the US, and we plan to also get it registered in Jamaica.
Wow, great work, great work. There's nothing like education. And I must also say that it's no little thing when you are in the Gleaner in Jamaica. It's no little thing. So great work from you there, Mrs. Henderson. Talk to us now. Let's go back to the GenCar bookkeeping solutions and the work that you're doing. You have been blazing the trails because you have had many certifications in the United States. And certification is the way to go because it speaks to the depth of the work that persons are doing. Talk to us about some of the certifications that you have in the accounting field and more so for your company.
Okay, so for the company, we have two, I'm going to focus on two major certifications. And when I explain, you will understand how these are, major certifications. So one of them is the Minority Women Business Enterprise, we call MWBE. And this enables you to seek city contracts, and it's minority owned, women minority owned business. So you will be able to solicit contracts. You are also listed in the New York directory of certified companies. And the other one is the state certification, where also my company is listed in the directory. I'm able to bid for city contracts. And these certifications, these are really big thing for GenGar Bookkeeping Solutions, because in the US, you have large companies that are not able to get certified. And getting the certification, it's not an easy road. It takes a lot of hard work. Being compliant, being able to have your finances in order, because all of that is being checked. Make sure that you are a legit company. Make sure you're providing the services that you are supposed to be providing. So it's a detailed process that you go through. Make sure that you are compliant. You do your tax returns. Your tax returns are correct. You have reporting all your income. You have legitimate business. You have your website, and you have documentation, you have contracts for your clients, your invoices, all those source documents you can produce. You show exactly when your business started, if you have a business bank account, and all of that. So it's a very rigid process. And for GenGar Bookkeeping Solutions to attain these certifications, I must say that it's really an achievement for us. And I'm very, very proud of myself and also proud of my company.
It is. You are in one of the major cities in the United States, New York. So that's actually a huge matter when we think about it. Congratulations on the work that you're doing.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add as well, we were featured in the .com magazine, which is a US company, and we were actually featured as one of the impactful company for 2021.
Excellent work. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking with Mrs. Henderson. She is the CEO of GenGar Bookkeeping Solutions, a woman who is making strides in the field of accounting with her company. And she's here to talk to us about the power in numbers tonight. So I want you to take a minute and get someone else in the room before we even go any further, because this is the time for you to hear. We are in the period of taxes and book reporting. It's time for you to know the numbers and the power in numbers. So if you can take a minute and ping someone else in so that they too can hear from Mrs. Henderson. Mrs. Henderson, we talked about your company and the certifications that you have chalked up. You have been helping both individuals and businesses over all of these years to get their books and accounting in order. So talk to us. If someone asks you, what are two of the most important things when it comes to getting their books and their numbers in order, what would you tell them?
First, I must say, you must have an effective accounting process and system in place. That's the foundation. You must have something to capture your numbers. It doesn't have to be on a sophisticated system. You have software, you have Quickbooks, Wave, Xerox, and Goods Excel. One thing I must say about Excel, it's formula-based. So if you are not comfortable with using Excel, it can be a challenge for you. So as I said, the first thing, having an effective process, accounting process and system in place. And secondly, I will say, get an accountant. Not only an accountant, but an experienced accountant, because we have persons out there saying that they're accountant and bookkeepers, and sad to say, they are not sure of what they're doing. And when it comes to your books and your finances, it can't be guessing and trying and error. You should be comfortable in what you're doing. Know about the accounting standards, know about the tax laws, because it's not about entering into information in a spreadsheet or a system, but be able to identify how these transactions are to be recorded. And based on how it is recorded, you know, it have tax implications. So it is important to have those two things in place to make sure that you're on the right path for success for your business.
Wow. So I just hear you mention taxes. When should people start filing their taxes?
Well, you know, Dr. Janice, we're actually in the tax season. It started on January 23rd, and it will go up right to April 18th. Normally, it will be April 15th, but April 15th is on a Saturday. So, and then there's a observation of an holiday, I think the 17th. So the 18th will be the final day for taxes. And I will say, do not wait until the last minute, because I know a lot of business owners tend to wait, and also individuals tend to wait until the last minute to get their books in order, try and get all their documentation together to file their taxes. But it's better to file your tax early. Get your stuff in order and file early.
January 23rd to April 18th. So you're saying if I don't file it during that time, I can't file it again for the rest of the year? Is that what we're saying?
No, yes, you can file. You can request for an extension and file later on. I think that extension ends in October, but you can file an extension and file later.
So we're still on the matter of taxes, because it's the time now when persons are thinking, what do I put on my taxes? What do I not put on my taxes? What do I get the refund for, or things like that? What are some things that you want people to know about filing taxes? Somebody come to you and say, tell me things about filing my taxes. What should I need? What should I do? What do I need to know? What would you tell them?
Okay, let me start with individuals. So for an individual, you need to ensure that you have your W-2. That's where you start. So your W-2 is pretty much a summary of all your income for the year. You will get that from your employer. So your W-2, that's the number one that is important. If you have interest from bank, interest from investment, then you need to have that statement as well to show your interest income. If you have mortgage interest, you will need to get that. That's a 1098 form. If you have other side hustle that you do, some contract job that you do, you're required to get your 1099, and that is also important. For your health insurance, you should have that as well. Ensure that you have the form for your health insurance, show that you're covered for the year. If you have any investments, then you will also get that form as well completed. A lot of us, we give to charity, churches, other recognized charity, the Cancer Society, and all of that. Make sure that you have that documentation. And that documentation is very specific. It must indicate the name of the organization. It should also state that no service or goods were provided. Also, the amount, your name, and your correct address. So that is very, very important. Not just having a little piece of paper to say, oh, you contribute to this, but it must be a recognized organization in order for you to get that tax deduction.
Okay. I want to go a little bit further into that. Is there a fixed amount that you can report for donations as an individual?
Well, for individuals, and it varies from state to state. Some states, the maximum is $600. Some, it will be like $25,000. So it varies, depends on the state that you're in.
Okay, perfect. I really wanted to get an understanding of that because some persons contribute more to donations, to church, to tithes, to things like those. So I wanted to have an idea of what's the maximum amount that they can report as contribution. Let's
Okay.
move on. Yeah,
so let me talk about the business aspect. So that's individual. So for business, there is an important part that sometimes businesses don't really look at. And I want to reinforce that. So if you operate a business and you have contractors, they are not employees, they are not on your payroll, but they are contractors and they are paid $600 and more for the entire year, you as the business owner are required to prepare a 1099 that is sent to those contractors and also file it with IRS. And this must be done by the 31st of January every year. So as long as you have contractors who have been working for you and they receive payment for $600 and more, this must be reported to IRS, prepare a 1099 and file it with IRS. And this pretty much is just like a check and balance for IRS to make sure, they want to make sure that all incomes are reported. So that is check and balances. And you are required to file that on a yearly basis. In addition to that, for business owners, you need to ensure that you have your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement. And this should be correct. So it goes back to the point where I mentioned that your accounting system and accounting process must be effective, because from that you'll be able to get your report. I have seen where some business owners, they are doing their taxes and they have what I will call P&L in a shoebox, because they just have their receipts, they have their invoices, nothing is in order, and they take it to the tax preparer to do their taxes. Number one, that is irresponsible as a business owner. And number two, it shows that you're not a good steward of your finances, and that's not good. Because you're not organized. Number three, it seems like you're not ready for business. Because if you come to me with your receipts, your invoicing, and all of that in a paper bag or an envelope, that shows me you're not ready for business. An entrepreneur, a business owner who is ready to grow a business, to scale a business, and moving forward in business would have a profit and loss statement that shows your income and your expenses and whatever your profit is for the year. That is what is used to generate your returns. In addition to, you would have any other documentation. Some companies, you have buildings that you own, houses that you own, all of that too will be relevant to complete your taxes. And two, what I want to ensure persons understand, most companies are LLC, limited liability companies. And what we need to understand that if you are the sole owner of that business, then when you're filing your taxes, it's really one tax that is filed, which is your 1040, which include your individual, but the business aspect is done on a Schedule C, if it's one owner. If it's more than one owner, same LLC, but we call them multiple member LLC or a partnership LLC, you have to ensure that you file a corporation tax, a business tax. So that is done separate from your personal. I realize sometimes companies do not understand the difference. It is clear from when you registered your company, that document that is sent from IRS, it states exactly what form should be filed. So as business owners, make sure that you review those documents so you know exactly what needs to be filed. If it's a sole proprietorship, that means it's a 1040 with your Schedule C for your business, business aspect. If it's a multi-member LLC or what you call a partnership, more than one person, then you must ensure that you file a 1065 and K1 as well, that shows the profit for each partner. So I want to highlight that. So it's not just about filing, but we have to make sure that the right form is completed and filed. And another thing I want to highlight, since we're talking about taxes, is that you must ensure that you have all your documentation. As business owner, it's your responsibility to ensure that you have support for everything that is on your taxes. It's not your tax preparer, it's not your tax professional. You are responsible to ensure you have those documentation in the event of an audit. And don't be scared. Persons here about audit, I'm scared. No need to be scared. If you have your books in order, you have everything in order, your documents, there is nothing to fear. Being audited does not mean that you're doing something wrong. It does not mean you're doing something wrong. If you can produce everything that they requested within that time frame, you're okay. But when you don't have your books in order, when you have everything disorganized, you have your receipts there, your invoices there, your contract there, you don't have a profit and loss to show, this is what my business is making, this is my income, my expenses, this is my profitability, then that's where, you have a challenge.
Mrs. Henderson is providing us with a wealth of knowledge here tonight. And make sure you are actually taking notes, because this is critical information that we're getting on the Fireside chat here tonight. I'm going to ask you one last question as we are on the matter of taxes, because this is a time when persons get thousands of dollars back in refund for taxes. How would you encourage people to use their tax refunds at this time?
Well, before I start, I must say that I am not a licensed financial advisor. So may that be clear. Okay, what I will say, invest, save. Make sure we have, most time we talk about saving for rainy day, saving for the future. And a lot of times we get these, amongst these refunds, we get excited, we're shopping, we, doing all sorts of things, but we must make sure that we invest. If you have a business, invest in your business, invest in some marketing, invest in some courses to the self-development, personal development. For an individual, it's the same thing, making you, a better person, a better version of yourself. And I want to just highlight a quote by Warren Buffett that speaks about savings. I actually saw this and I was saying, wow. So it said, savings, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. So a lot of times we do the opposite. We spend, then whatever we have left, we save. But what he's saying, save, take out your saving first, and then you spend what is left. Another one I want to highlight is about spending. If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things you need.
Mm.
So a lot of times we, buy things that we don't need and we have them there until we don't even remember that we have them. Until some hard time take us and we have to sell things that are really dear to our hearts. So I just wanted to highlight these. So I'm saying save, invest in some sort of instrument, financial instrument, CDs, mutual fund, Roth IRA. Also, remember too that you have some that are long-term and short-term. Know what your risk tolerance level is. Make sure you know what your risk, whatever level risk you can take in this type of investment. And depends too, if it's something that you're going to need in the short term, you don't invest in something that is long term. You have some investment that are more riskier than some, like equity, stocks. These are volatile investments. So these change with what's happening in the market and in the economy. So be careful of what you invest in. Another thing to note, make sure you investigate, you do your due diligence before you decide to invest in anything. Make sure you know exactly that this investment is something that you can generate returns from. So that's what I would suggest. Make sure that you save something. Invest in yourself, invest in your business, and invest in some financial instrument to get returns.
Excellent points. Again, Mrs. Henderson, she's dropping some gems in the room here. She's giving us powerful quotes from men who have walked the road and know what it is to manage finance carefully. But is there any way that you help persons with these kind of requirements to start, or how can you help people to start and to go?
For individual, I will help you with your budget. Budget is where it starts. Your budget allows you to know what you have to spend. And if you don't budget, then you will find yourself in problems. It all starts with budgeting. So I will help you with your budgeting to guide you on your financial journey so you are confident of what your financial position is. And for the business aspect, I will help you with your money to manage your finances from start to finish. So ensure you have the right accounting process and system in place. If you already have one, I will review to make sure it's something that is workable for your business and giving you the result that you need. And in addition to that, I offer my service to manage those finances. Make sure that you understand what the numbers mean, because sometimes you don't understand what the numbers mean. To drill down, do analysis in the numbers. What is driving your sales? What's driving your expenses? Is there any expenses that you can defer? Any expenses that can be eliminated? So those are some of the things that, I will drill down in to look at your KPIs. What are the driving forces of your revenue? Have meetings to ensure and explain what the numbers mean. Because the numbers don't lie. The numbers tell the story of your business. You will see this behind me. Knowing your numbers mean knowing your business. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know what's going on. So I help you to position you for financial success, to take advantage of opportunities like your grants, your loans. In 2020, 2021, we had the PPP and the EIDL. And a lot of small companies were not able to get this financial help. Two main reasons I discovered. One, did not have a business bank account. Operating business, but don't have a business bank account, everything is just commingling with your personal. That's not the right way. The other thing is they were not able to produce a profit and loss statement to say This is what I'm making for the year. Yes, they're having a business, they are making sales, they have expenses, but nothing to show this is what is happening in my business. And because of that, they were not able to get the financial assistance. Don't let that happen to you. Make sure that you are prepared for the opportunities. You cannot take on an opportunity without preparation. You may not see it now, but make sure you prepare for it. So when it comes your way, you're already prepared and ready to go.
Wow. I just heard you go into the business coaching role a while ago, because that's you coaching businesses as to what they need to do. And so let me just ask you this question. As a business coach, you coach persons about their business. You coach them about their personal lives, because you cannot separate your personal life from your business. They are intertwined in some way. What are two critical points that you would help business owners and individuals to understand that these things are connected directly to both their personal lives and their business lives?
One of them, and I've been saying it, budget. If you do not have proper money management in your personal life, starting your business, it's going to transition there. If you do not know how to budget, how to manage your finances, starting a business, you will have the same problem, because you will end up trying to spend more than what you have. Mm-hmm. So budget, that's number one. Affect both. It's a continuation. The other thing I would say is your mindset. To have a growth mindset, to always striving to learn more, develop yourself. If you're someone who just settle for anything, you don't want to grow, you don't want to learn new things changing around you, and you are stagnant. So everything passes you by. In 2020, a lot of persons were forced to learn things. Even if they didn't want to, they had to. Zoom is one, because a lot of persons didn't know how to use Zoom, but they had to learn it because that was the means of communication wherever in the world you are. And that's why we are here. We have persons from Jamaica, from Canada, from Florida, from New York, wherever in the world you are, we can connect. So having that growth mindset to develop, always learning, always trying to learn something new. It's never too old to learn. I'm always learning. My mom, who is on this call, will tell you, I'm always studying. She said, when are you going to stop studying? I'm always, because you want to learn something. You want to ensure that you are abreast of what's happening. And in the field that I'm in, I have to keep abreast of what's going on. Things change, tax laws change every year. You have to be abreast of what's happening. Accounting laws change. You have to keep yourself up to date, or else you will be outdated. You will not be able to adjust to what's going on around you. You will not be able to serve your clients to the fullest because you do not have the knowledge. So things changing and you remain stagnant, that's not good. So your mindset, have that growth mindset of always learning, always trying to get new ideas, gain knowledge to help you as an individual and also in your business, because you want to be the best version of yourself.
Lots and lots of wisdom being shared in this room here tonight. This is wisdom we're getting from Mrs. Henderson, talking about different aspects of taxes, financial accounting, budgeting, personal finances. As we come down to a close, because I want to leave some time for the audience to ask their questions. I know that we do have many persons from Jamaica and maybe other parts of the Caribbean in the room. I know back in Jamaica, they are actually doing what they call NHD refund, while in the United States, they're doing regular tax refund. If you were to just give some advice to persons who are either in Jamaica or in the United States, just one final word of wisdom to these persons who are getting these funds, what would those be?
I would say, think wisely. Be conscious of what's happening in the economy. A lot of times we tend to just spend just like that without thinking. And sometimes we buy things that we don't need. So not because the thing is there, we should, actually spend on that. So invest in yourself. Sometimes we are afraid to invest. You always say, if you don't spend, you don't get. If you have a business and you're not spending money to have the latest technology to improve yourself as an individual, then your business will be short-lived. The same thing as an individual too. And always try to save. I always say to the person, it's not the amount of money that you save, but it's the consistency. So if you save $5 every day consistently for a year, you will see how much you have. So whenever you get that extra, just make sure you save. Save something.
Excellent words of advice again from Mrs. Henderson. Jengar Bookkeeping Solutions from out of the great state of New York. This woman is making significant strides. She is certified. She has the ACCA level. She has certifications that are powerful ones in the United States, the Minority Business Owners Certification, which is a huge certification for especially for women to hold. So we are talking with her tonight, and she's really sharing her expertise, I would say her heart with us about accounting and what we need to do. Mrs. Henderson, if there's a young person in this room and that person is considering, I would love to be an accountant, or I would love to own my own business, what would be your advice to that young person that they can take away from here and go run with it?
I would say to that person, follow your dream. Don't be distracted. Don't let no one dim your light. If this is your dream, this is something that you love, go for it. Being an accountant, don't just think about the money aspect of it. Make sure it's fulfilling, because sometimes you can be lonely in the accounting field. It's a big responsibility. It's a mammoth task of being an accountant. It has to be something that you love. You have to be passionate about it, and you want to provide value. You're providing a service. I call what I'm doing is my ministry. I'm serving. And it's not just about money. And when you think of a career that you love, you're passionate about, and something that you want to provide value, go for it. And if it's your purpose, walk in your purpose. Walk in your purpose.
Powerful charge, powerful charge. What's your parting words to this room?
I would say to everyone here that don't take numbers lightly. Numbers are something that are significant in every aspect of your life. Numbers is everything, really. You're not just thinking about money. You need to think about your health, how, the numbers on your health is you have good cholesterol, whatever. But make sure that whatever you do, you make sure that you are doing the right thing. Think about what you're doing. Don't take nothing for granted. And make sure that you have a budget. Budget is where you start. It don't have to be a big budget, but a budget pretty much states exactly what you have to spend. So you take everything into account, what you have, all your earnings, whatever you have to spend. Remember the quote that I mentioned. Don't just spend and then you save the rest. Take out your savings first. Savings first, then you can spend the rest. But spend wisely and make sure that if you're investing, you invest wisely, you do your due diligence in whatever you're doing. And for business owners, make sure that if you decide to start a business, you start it right. Make sure you have that foundation in place for success. A lot of companies, they start businesses, they are doing well the first 2 years, but because there is no solid foundation in place, it's short-lived. There is no proper management, financial management. So yes, they are making money, but there is no proper management of their finances. Nothing to say that, what am I doing? Make sure you have financial statements in place. Make sure you have controls, because a lot of companies too, they fail because there are no control mechanism in place to capture when anything going wrong. Your reconciliation, that's a powerful tool, your bank reconciliation, to make sure that you can capture if there's any misappropriation of funds, frauds, whatever. As business owners, you are responsible for your finances. You are responsible to ensure that you are good stewards. And as individuals, we are responsible for our finances. So we need to take control of our finances, take ownership, and make sure that we have things in place, plans in place to make sure that we have a future and make sure that we are successful in whatever we're doing. So those are my parting words.
Powerful parting words, ladies and gentlemen, from Mrs. Jennifer Henderson. Let me tell you something. You do not just need an accountant. You need someone who is knowledgeable, someone of integrity, someone who has the expertise and the knowledge, someone who has been tried and proven in their field. This woman has worked in major corporations. Grace Kennedy Group of Company is one of the largest companies in Jamaica and across many of the region. She has worked in many organizations that are top-notch. She knows her line. She knows what she's doing. You need an accountant. You have a small business. Mrs. Henderson will help you. She will practically hold your hands until you get to a place where you can manage on your own. How can people reach you, Mrs. Henderson? Jen Gar Bookkeeping Solutions.
Okay, on all social media platforms except Twitter. So I'm on LinkedIn. I will drop all my social media handles in the chat. So I'm on LinkedIn, Jennifer Henderson, and Jen Gar Bookkeeping Solutions. I'm on Facebook, Jennifer Henderson, Jen Gar Bookkeeping Solution. I am on TikTok and Instagram. And I also have my website, of course. And I will drop all of that in the chat. I will also drop my Calendly. You can, set up a consulting session with me. It's free, 30 minutes, where we'll see if we're a best fit to work with, and we can take it from there. So I will drop all my social media handles and all my contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, this was really an interesting conversation that we had here with Mrs. Henderson, a heart-to-heart one. Money is important. Money answers to all things. Your finances must be in order. Our Bible tells us that God wishes above all things that we prosper, that we be in good health, even as our soul prospers. Money is in the midst of that prosperity. And if you don't manage your money wisely, then prosperity will not be yours. Mrs. Henderson, thank you so much for coming onto the Fireside Chat and just sharing so much of your knowledge with us and the wisdom that you have. I am going to open the floor at this time. I'm going to be changing our view and opening the floor at this time so that persons with questions, comments, you can be able to ask Mrs. Henderson. And we have a room. Earlier I saw we were almost 20, we're up to 29 persons. Now we are 27 persons in the room. I'm sure many persons have questions or comments for Mrs. Henderson, and this is the time for you to raise your virtual hand. I will go ahead as well and look in the chat if there are any questions, and I will pose them to Mrs. Henderson at this time. And if you have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. Thank you, Miss Janet. Go right ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a great session. Numbers are very important because God wrote a whole entire book on numbers. So it is extremely important and valuable. My question is, if you've been through a bankruptcy and you had a business, how do you recuperate or recover, or what do you do about that?
So you had a business and it went bankrupt?
No, I personally, I was in a bankruptcy, but my business got involved. I don't know if you understand the question.
Okay, so was the business, was it a sole proprietorship?
No, it was a partnership. No, sorry. It was a LLC.
Oh, so it was a single member LLC.
Yeah, but I personally had a bankruptcy, and I just included that into my business. It was just started. It wasn't making any profit or anything like that. I just got started with it.
Because if it's a LLC, it's really separate from you as an individual. It's a limited liability company. So okay. I was trying to understand how the two intertwine.
I did file a 1099 on it.
All right, I think probably we should
gather
some more information.
Yeah, what you can do, you can reach out to me.
Okay.
Yes. Talk to you more on that.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent point. Yes, right. So we gather that off behind the scenes, and then you can be able to explain that in greater details. Are there any other questions in the room? Let me see if we have anything in the chat. There are many commendations. Great session, informative session. Thanks again, great session. Cannot take an opportunity without preparation. Let me see here. Invest in yourself. Let me see if there are any. Thank you, Coach Ria Rodney. You can go right ahead and ask your question.
And there's a question in the chat too, Dr. Janice.
Thank you so much.
Good night to everyone. Good night, Dr. Janice. Good night, Jennifer. You did an amazing job. I want to make sure and say that. I did put my question in the chat, but I thought I'll just put my hands out so I'll be an active participant. I'm asking this question because I do have a business, and a lot of the people that work, that contracts through my business live internationally. And you did share earlier on when you were speaking about taxes that you should, anyone that you do work with and the fee or the exchange of money is over $600, that you should do, I think you said a 1099.
1099, right.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, so my thing is that for people living in the US? Because for me, a lot of people that I do business with, they're internationally, they live international, and the money that comes in doesn't go into my pocket, but it goes into the services that my client is paying me for, or I would say is using my company for. So for instance, I publish books. A client come to me to publish book. My main part that I am actively involved in is the publishing, but I outsource the editing. I outsource the book creation and so forth. So these multiple people that work alongside me to help to get this book published, you know, I pay them, but that's in the budget, but that doesn't go in my direct pocket. So do I give these people a 1099 or it's for money that's coming directly to me?
The 1099 is just no international, just for the US.
Okay.
US vendors. And it's persons that you do business with. Okay. So it's just for the US $600 and above, then you're required to do that 1099.
Okay, thank you very much for clearing that.
You're welcome.
I thought it was only for people in the US, but being that I work with so many people internationally, I wanted just to make sure I have that clarity.
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
Thanks for the question. You're welcome.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We do have Miss Janet.
There's another question. There's a question, Dr. Janice, that
yes, Dr. Marcia. I
Good
thought
night,
Janet
everyone.
had her hand. Janet, do you have your hand back up? If not, you can lower your hand. And Coach Reese, you can lower your hand if you don't have a question. Do you, Miss Janet? All right, so the question in the chat, it says, what are the key traits for filing successful organization, supporting documents? Is that the correct question, Dr. Marcia?
There's another one that says we need an experienced accountant to work for a growing and successful pharmacy, supermarkets, and Western Union and other money or financial services business in Jamaica. Can you recommend an ideal individual? That's a question that's there also.
Okay. All right. Which one you want to take, Mrs. Henderson? You want to take the one about what are the documentation to file a supporting document to file a successful company?
Okay, I can do that first. The documentations, if for a business, as I said, you need your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet. If you have and other documents, those who do not file with it, but make sure you have them in place in the event that they are needed. So your invoices, your contracts, your receipts, your bank statements, your credit card statements, your mileage log, you need that if you have, if you do business mileage, if you have a vehicle that you do business mileage, you need to have a log, a mileage log that you maintain and have that. Documentation, if you have a company vehicle, you need to have the documentation for that as well. Any company building, such like you need to have that. Any interest, if you invest, do any investment for the company and you receive interest, you need to have that form. That's the 1099 interest. If you invest in any company where you have dividends, you need to have that as well. Any mortgage interest, you need to have that. If you do donations as well, you need to have all that documentation in place. It is required for you to keep it by IRS for 3 years, but I say to person have it for 7 years to have your documentation to make sure if there is an audit or there's a query or whatever, you have that documentation to support what you have on your taxes.
Excellent, excellent point. So you move on to the other question, and they're asking for a recommendation for an accountant to manage a chain of companies in Jamaica, and they're asking if you have any recommendations. I don't know if you want to take that one off the year and get more information.
Yes, I will have to check on that, so I'll take that off the here. This person can reach out to me. My contact is in the chat.
Excellent. All right, Miss Janice, you have your hand back up. Go right ahead.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't find the mic. Okay, so I understand that if you send money over $600 with some platforms like PayPal or Venmo or a couple of those platforms, you have to Cash App, you have to pay taxes on it as well. I mean, you have to report it. And also, if you have a business and the business is out of your home, do you have to pay 1/3? Do you claim 1/3 of your light, your water, your phone bills, and all of those things?
Well, it's not 1/3, it's based on the square footage that you occupy. And also it must be used for that purpose only. So if you have a room in your house that you use that's for your office, it should be used for that only. And that is based on the square footage. So if, and I'm just using numbers. So if the entire house is say 200 square footage and that room is just 50 square footage, it's a portion of that square footage times whatever the total light bill, electricity, or telephone bill that is paid. So it's not 1/3, it's based on the square footage that you occupy.
Excellent. I want to just make a comment on the question, sorry, that Janet asked, because I did pose that question to someone last week, and they told me that it was discussed, but there was nothing passed, no law passed for that 600 through Cash App, through Venmo, through some of those platforms. Is that correct?
Well, I think it's discussed. It has been discussed. That's something that they have been talking about from last year. But I think for this year, the Cash App, all those apps, they are required to submit those 1099 to IRS. Zelle is not a part of it, but all the others, Venmo, Cash App, and all the others, they are required to send that 1099 to IRS that they need to report.
Wonderful. Thanks for clarifying that. Coach Rio, go right ahead.
Yes, I have another question. So I've listened to you quite attentively, and you seem to be extremely knowledgeable. I mean, you have all these years of accounting. I just want to ask, I know that I could reach out to you in the background, but I want to ask it here so all of us could hear the answer. What services do you have for small businesses? I know that you do the accounting. So in terms of accounting, can you share with us, like, or with me, I should say, like, what services that you have for me? Because I am a small business. So I just want to know, like, how can I benefit from working with you? And I guess this question would serve for everyone who's here as well.
Okay, so I really work with small businesses, mostly small businesses. So I provide bookkeeping and accounting services from start to finish. And what that means that I will set up your system, your accounting system or your accounting software, and also manage your finances, your daily transactions or monthly, whatever it is. I will ensure that those are entered, recorded, reviewed, reconciled, and produce your financial report, which we will discuss on a monthly basis to see what's happening in your business. If there is something that you need to change, something that you need to remove, we'll have that discussion just for you to understand what is happening with your numbers, what the numbers are saying, how confident you are to explain what the numbers mean. So pretty much I help you to understand the numbers so you are confident. So for instance, if you need to pitch your business to someone, you know exactly what's going on. If they ask you what's your profitability, you are able to say it with confidence. If you ask you what your key performance indicators are, you are able to respond, in a confident manner. And also for you to be able to position yourself for financial success. If there is an opportunity for you to get a loan, a grant, you are able to have your information right at your fingertips so you can produce that to get your loan or your grant. So make sure that you are financially ready for any opportunities.
Well, thank you so much for saying this. And if I may, I just want to ask one more question, or just share an experience that I had with an accountant that still have me scarred to today and have me very iffy. So I hired this person. At first, this person was referred to me by a client of mine, and this person was to do my accounting. And this person have everything put together, the certification and everything. And I allowed this person to do my accounting. It was the first time me allowing someone to do that. And of course, this is not my territory, so I have to trust this individual that I hired, right? And I am very thorough, so I did my background check, and also the person came referred. And it's what they do professionally as their 9 to 5. They don't work for anyone else. And I was confident that my accounting was done properly. And then they told me to do taxes as well. And although I have someone that works well with my taxes, who lives in New York, I felt the need, okay, well, since I'm working with an accountant now, my company is growing, it's making money. Let me have this one person doing everything. Although she lives in Florida and I live in Brooklyn, I allow her to also do my taxes. And this is when everything went wrong. She wrote off all of my money that my company made that did not need to be write off. And I told her clearly that I'm looking to buy a home. And of course, I did not know that I'm entrusting this individual. So I'm not quite sure what to look for, stuff like that. So I didn't catch it right away. And then after, there was a lot of different things once I passed it on for someone else to look at it. And I got no state tax back. For the first time in getting my taxes, I got like $1,000 something. All my taxes was just disappeared. And she just messed everything up. So right now at this place where I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. So now we try to do an amendment, I think is what they call it. I haven't heard back from the IRS at all since May last year. And I'm very apprehensive with 2023. And even when I was attempting to purchase the home and I was going through the pre-approval, even though we got through it, all of that, it was drawn to my attention that profit and loss, the number was different from my tax paper, my tax from my tax return. And there was just a lot of chaos going on there. And, she refunded me back my $500 that I paid her. But technically, I lost like almost $9,000 in income tax that I usually get back. And then, I have this mess of a tax return that the numbers is not reflecting the money that my company made, which was almost $40,000. And she write me off to $5,000. Straight down to $5,000, and it wasn't necessary because the person who went over it with me, I was able to get a return and not have to pay the IRS any money, and still was able to have at least I think it was about 35,000 showing, because I offer a service. I don't have to buy products. I offer a service, so my money usually comes in, and I'm just sharing all of this because I want to just say, like, how do you go about checking someone's credentials? Like, this person legitimately have all the certifications. And how do you recover from something like this? The IRS, you can't even get them on the phone. All last year until I gave up. And now I'm anticipating, would I be called for an audit? Some of the things she even write off, I don't even know what it is. Like, and I only learned these things when the other person went line by line and showing me these things. And I'm like, well, I don't have that. How can I show this? So what do you do in a case like that?
Well, to reach
I know it's a lot.
I know IRS is really behind, so calling IRS is like hopeless. I had an experience where I was calling and I wasn't getting through. So that is like a challenge. Obviously this person didn't know what she was doing.
Obviously.
Because having your profit and loss, you should be able to tie back everything to your tax return line by line. So and what I realized, and I tell person all the time, person saying, oh yes, I have an accountant, I have a bookkeeper. But a lot of them really don't understand what they're doing. And it's more than just putting information in a spreadsheet. You need to understand what you're doing and to know how everything comes together. Getting a P&L is one thing, but how this ties back with your return. Because if I'm taking on a client, I ask for their tax return and your profit and loss for the last, it should be tied back together. Because I pretty much can use your tax return and create a starting position for you if you're just starting out with me. So obviously that person didn't really understand what they're doing. And then it's just sad too, because you didn't understand either to know what to look for. So at that point, you don't know if it is right or it's wrong.
Exactly. I'll never be in that position again though, because anybody I work with will have to really sit and line by line, go through it. But I'm just trying to figure out how do I recover? Because I need to amend that taxes. And I guess I need to get somebody to do over my book for the past 2+ years, like 3 years that she was doing it.
All right, so you're going to now take this one up with Mrs. Henderson, a credible accountant, somebody who knows exactly what she's doing and how to put the numbers together. We're talking about the power in knowing your numbers. And so that's the second client for you right there, Mrs. Henderson. You are going to make sure you take that one as well and help Coach Rodney to get her things in order. That's what we're talking about. That's
I'll be contacting her.
Definitely. I will have you covered.
Definitely, definitely. That's what the Fireside is for. We build people and we change lives. Claudette, you have your hand up in the corner there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Janice. And Mrs. Henderson, thank you so much. This has been an amazing evening.
You're
welcome. So informative, so informative.
Thank you.
Do you work with clients in Jamaica?
Yes, I'm planning to do that. I've been reaching out to some persons there. And based on the fact that I was working in Jamaica, that was as Dr. Janice mentioned, before I migrated there, I was the financial controller for Grace Kennedy Money Services, which is a subsidiary of Grace Kennedy Limited. So Grace Kennedy Money Services dealt with Western Union, Bill Express, and currency traders. So definitely I will be reaching out to some persons in Jamaica.
Thank you so much. And the second, so I'll be in touch with you. The second question is, do you do training programs? Because I'm just listening to you and realize that most of us who are entrepreneurs, we have no idea what we are doing. So even if somebody helps us, we don't know if they're,
doing the right thing.
Well, right, exactly. So do you do seminars?
I'm going to answer that one.
I'd like to talk to you about that off there as well. So
I'm going to answer that one for her. Yes, she does. And yes. She's going to have one coming up soon. So what I want you to do is to either you drop a contact in the chat or let us have some contact information for you so that we can get that arranged, get your information when it's ready. Definitely it's coming up. Thank you so much. That's what the Fireside is for. I told you.
Thanks.
All right.
You might still see my hand up, but just mean I'm not. It's not another question.
I'll take it. I'll wait for you. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Claudette. Definitely. And you're going to make sure that once we send that information to you for the training seminar, you are going to ensure that you spread that word to all of the business people in your region, in your area, so that they can be properly trained by Mrs. Henderson to manage their accounting and their books properly.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to respect time, so you're welcome. So I'm going to take the last question before we wrap up for tonight. Please, if you're in this room and you have a question, I'm going to ask you if you could drop, whether it's in a private note to myself or to Mrs. Henderson, just drop your phone number or an email address, please. You can private it to one of us, and we will make sure we take that information and we get back to you. As a matter of fact, I believe that everybody needs to do that, because somewhere or the other, you're going to need an accountant. You're going to need some other service. We have many persons passing through this platform. People have continued to call and ask, do you know a person can do this? Do you know? And we have been able to provide them with the resources, because we have had numerous persons on this platform. Attorneys, just 2 weeks ago, somebody asked for an attorney. I was able to provide them with the attorney number. We have had doctors, accountants, coaches, persons who help with writing. You write your book and publish it. So many resources we have brought on this platform. So it is wisdom that you drop your phone number privately to myself or an email address, so that reach out to me. Mrs. Dr. Marcia, if you drop my information in the chat for me, please reach out if you have a need, because we have the resources. You have a need, reach out. We will find the resources for you. Miss Janet, go ahead with your question.
I just want to confirm what you just said, because that's what I was going to say. Put your email in the chat and your phone number.
Yes, please. Yes, we have a wealth of information and resources in here. As a matter of fact, the Fireside chat is going to be putting together a booklet with resources, the accountants, the attorneys, so that you have it to use. We are not just here talking to you every Tuesday. We are making sure that we do things that will change your life for the better. We can't be on the same level every day. We have to grow and become more. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much again for sitting with us. We have gone over our time, but it was such an interesting conversation. It is the power that we needed to fuel our tank. Remember, money answers to all things, and I'm saying it again. God desires that we prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. Money is a part of that prosperity. We have a life to live here first before we leave this earth, and we have to try to live this life the best as we can. Managing our finances and being the best stewards of our money is critical, not just important. Mrs. Henderson, thank you once again so much for coming on and really sharing the knowledge that you have and the expertise. And I know that many persons will be reaching out to you, not just for questions and answers, but for you to help them to place their business on a firm foundation. Let me ask you this one question. You also help persons to register their businesses, correct?
No, I don't offer that as a service.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we are